In this tutorial, I'm going to show you how to prepare the machine for milling your board and how to prepare the pointed milling tool in the proper manner. So from the previous tutorial, the mill should still be at the tool change position. Now, you will have purchased or been given a pointed milling tool, which typically mills at a 10 mil clearance. Now these milling bits from T-Tech are called T1 milling tools, and they're rated to mill from between 8 and 12 mils milling path. I think you will find that you have your best luck milling at a 10 mil milling path. The procedure to insert the mill bit into the mill is the same as drill bits. We grab the shank of the tool with the tool grip, insert it all the way into the top of the mill, holding it in place with the Allen wrench if necessary. Then we tighten the set screw so that the milling bit is firmly held in place. However, the setup procedure is quite a bit more complex than just for drill bits. From the drilling procedure, this should be set up so that the tip of the milling bit shouldn't come underneath of that vacuum tube. What we're going to do is move the pressure foot knob back down, that is towards the right, and we're going to move this pressure foot so that it's about even with the bottom of that vacuum tube, and just underneath or just below the point of the milling tool, so that the milling tool can't actually go into the board yet. Also make sure that for now this pressure foot and the vacuum tube and the milling bit are all above the board here, so that when it goes, the milling head goes back, it doesn't catch on the board and damage it or the mill. Now when we start the milling process, just for milling, we're going to peel the bottom right tape off of the board. This will lift the board just off the backing material just a little bit. That's okay, because if this pressure foot, while it's milling, travels over that tape, it will change your depth of cut and make it much shallower, and the portion where the pressure foot was on the tape will not mill correctly. So, having gotten this far, what we're going to do now is go back here. We're going to check the zoom out tool, and we're going to zoom out until we can see about this much of the board. We'll go back to the crosshairs tool, and we were going to go to the mill menu and select home to do just a little preliminary setup here. What you want to check is that we'll use the top stop button to make sure that the point of the mill is no farther away from the board than the width of this Allen wrench. So we set the Allen wrench on the board and make sure that the tip of the milling tool is no farther away than that from the board. That will make sure that the acceleration of the mill head up and down is not too much to damage your board. And then we'll make sure that the pressure foot is again a little lower than the tip of the milling bit, because we're going to use this foot to set the depth of the cut that this pointed tool makes. Now, since the tool is pointed, the width of the cut at the bottom of the cut will be slightly less than the width of the cut at the top of the cut. The description of this process in the manual has a better visual description of what we're about to do. Having set it this far, we're now going to take our crosshair tool back to the computer, and we're going to select an area that's underneath the center of the pin and well away from it, since our board now is on the right side of the mill, we're going to work with the left side of the mill underneath the pin. You'll remember in a previous tutorial I said we would work with this. We're going to right click right about here and the position of this is important, as you'll see. We'll go down to Machine and select Test Depth of Cut. Now the mill is going to move itself to that position, and it's going to bring up a list of all of the tools that we're using on this board. Want to select the 10 mil isolation tool that we used and select OK. Now what will happen is the mill is going to mill two paths right next to each other. It's going to go first about a half an inch to the right and then a half an inch to the left. And what you will want to see is two cuts that are parallel with each other. And as you'll see here in the manual, these cuts shouldn't overlap, nor should they be too far apart. And this will tell you when your depth of cut is 10 mils. To repeat this process each time, clicking down two little detents or clicks of this knob. Each time you select, right click on the area you want to work with, then select Machine and Test Depth of Cut. This goes back to that position. Then you select your 10 mil tool and push OK. And you'll want to only go down 2 clicks each time, since if you go down too many clicks, this may cut very deeply into the board. And we just repeat this process over and over again until we get the proper depth of the cut. What you'll notice is then when the milling tool starts to cut into the board, you'll see some white powder like this here. This white dust, this is fiberglass dust. Once you can start to see that when the machine does its depth of cut, then 2 more clicks down from that should give you an appropriate 10 mil cut. And I'm just going to continue to do this process until I get an accurate depth of cut. When that happens, we'll know that the milling tool is ready. So once we've reached a point where we can see that the mill bit is going through the copper and giving us an appropriate depth of cut, then we have the machine set up to mill the board. So in the next tutorial, I will show you the process for milling the board.